Coach Lance is from Oregon. Now, in the state of Oregon, there are about 8,000 prisoners doing GOGI. Well, that's kind of a lot given the fact that it is prisoners who raised all the funding to bring GOGI to Oregon. Yeah, no funding, zero funding. It was the prisoners that did the fundraisers. It was the prisoners that took advantage of all our free materials. The prisoners actually built GOGI Oregon, and Coach Lance, one of their coaches, was responsible for expanding the GOGI protocol. Now, as you're watching this, keep in mind that GOGI is free. You just need your staff or your institution to download some of the materials. You can grow a GOGI culture with no state funding, with no federal funding. You could just do it on your own. And that is what makes GOGI so special. So in any case, let's listen to Coach Lance and how he helped build the GOGI culture in the state of Oregon. How are you?
Well, good morning, Miss Taylor.
How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
And you're a free man.
13 days today. Yeah, yeah,
Tomorrow will be 2 weeks.
yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to be recording this
Okay.
and we're going to share it on our YouTube channel. We're also
Yeah.
going to share it on the tablets. When you
Yeah,
were inside the Oregon ODC, did you engage in GOGI on the tablets?
I did all of them. Yeah, and I watched all the interviews and all the stuff. Yes, it's wonderful.
What did you like the most about the tablet learning stuff?
I would say the testimonies.
Really?
Yeah,
Well, now you're going to be one of them.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Very inspiring. Yeah.
We just uploaded 25 more videos and conversations like ours. So,
Okay.
and they expanded the tablet learning. I guess they have like 500 settings of incarceration now utilizing the Adobe tablet stuff. So we got a wide reach.
Yeah, that's beautiful. We need that in the prisons. We even need it out here. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Let's talk about your journey. The past 13 days. Is your stomach
Okay.
still upset? What does it feel like on a soft mattress? You have a pillow that's really a pillow. I know that individuals are thinking, okay, I like the testimony, but what happens the first 2 weeks when I get out? Can you kind of
Yeah.
review that with us?
I think the first day I was still numb. I didn't really know how to feel. I think actually, if we're going to be honest, the first 3 days, you know,
Okay.
I felt like I was out of my element. And I only did 4 years on a 5.5 year set. But, in a controlled environment, you forget how the world works, you know?
How does the
And
world work when you're free now? What is this world that you're going back into?
it's busier than what I remember. Yeah, yeah. So, the first 2 days, I just took time for myself and I sat in the quietness, spent time with my wife and my son, and that was nice. That really felt so good, you know. Then after that, I felt like I needed to start doing something. So I went and I got my ID. I signed up for drug treatment. I signed up for school. So I'm going to further my education in mentoring. So I'm going to go for addiction and recovery. So I start that next month on the 23rd. Yeah.
Guys, when they get out, they don't even want to sleep. I got to do this. I got to do that. What
Yeah.
was the value in those couple of days where you were just kind of decompressing almost? What is the value in that? What went through your mind? Were you anxious? What was going on? And would you recommend 2 or 3 days for somebody to just kind of decompress?
100%. You need that time. You need those couple of days to just bring yourself back to center, right? And then if you want to venture out, okay. But that time, the quietness to reset your mind and to reset your emotions in your body, because the body reacts to the mind, it's definitely necessary. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You're a certified Gogi coach. I mean, I printed all your certificates. I mean, it goes on forever.
Yeah.
What was your thesis project on? You did a 30-page thesis. What was it on?
My thesis was on how to use the tools.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So I went into each tool specifically and I did a description on how I would use the tools and different ways that I heard other men say that they would use the tools. And so then I would give descriptions of each tool and I went in depth.
I think we should pull that out of your coach file and maybe give it back to you so that you can utilize it as you're working with individuals. You can make some flyers out of it. And
Oh,
actually,
I have it.
oh, you already have it. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
you're
made
planning on
copies.
doing that.
Oh, yes, 100%. Yeah.
I love it. And you probably did it handwritten because all of our theses are handwritten. But
Right.
I would love to get a Word document that we're able to make it into something to offer our students online. So
Yeah.
just know that even though it got you your certification, it's not dead there. It's not supposed to live in a file. If you want to open it up and allow us to utilize it for online learning or our YouTube channel or really just in any way, let me know and we will definitely support you with that.
I would love to do that. Yeah, any way to help other men that are still struggling, you
Yeah.
know? I
And
mean,
that coach status needs to go on your resume.
yeah, yeah, I definitely will put it on there then. I didn't think about putting it on there.
It has to go on there. That's a certification. That's tantamount to like a 2-year degree. I mean, there was a lot of work you put into that. It
Yes.
needs to go on your resume because it tells a possible employer that you know how to, one, obtain a very rare certification, but two, lead Gogi groups. You have tools with which to integrate into their protocol or whatever they have to offer as their modality. You're coming to the table with something that not a lot of people have.
This is true. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was worth it. It was worth it. Yeah.
Who did you have as mentors? And did you have like Gogi groups going on? What was the environment that inspired you to go for that coach status?
So I was at Snake River Correction, and you have a coach there named David Robinson. Yes, and he's a good coach. And so, and he's kind of doing it a long time, and he's done all the books that you offer, right? And he says, and I was stirring in my seat and thinking to myself, I don't feel like these gentlemen anymore. I mean, I know where people come from, and yes, I came from the gangs, I came from the drugs, I came from the dysfunction. And he says, well, I got something for you. Why don't you try Gogi? And I thought, well, what the heck is Gogi? That sounds silly, you know? And so then we did one book together, and that was the spider table. And after that, I thought, well, I already know these tools.
Great.
These tools, I think people already know these tools and they forget them while you grow up and things happen and you become jaded in life or whatever struggles that you're dealing with. You forget that you already are the boss of your brain. You forget that, we already use our tools to belly breathe and breathe through things, and so I figured to myself, well, this is awesome. Well, can I teach a group? And so then I taught the leadership group. And then after that, I read the With Love Coach, and I read your story. And what your story said, you said, I went into the prisons and I felt more trapped in my mind and in my anxiety than these men that are incarcerated. And I thought to myself, Lord, that's how I felt my whole life. Right. So when I learned these tools, and then I seen my first group was 9 people. And it was so incredible to see so many different walks of life and it start working. These gentlemen were excited to learn Gogi. And so it even excited me more. And I says, oh, I got to do more.
Oh, I love it. That
Yeah.
is wonderful. So if you're thinking of the guy who's sitting on the 8-foot cell, a 2-inch mattress, or the woman that is doing the same, there's, I guess, 2 million incarcerated individuals in the US alone, and 7 or 9 million on some sort of paper accountability. You're talking about a lot of individuals. what can you say to them? Not everybody has a short 5-year sentence. There are LWOPs. There are
Yeah.
people that whose addiction is so bad they don't know how to overcome the addiction, so they know they're going to be back for another rodeo ride.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to those individuals?
If you find yourself alone in IMU in the hole, which I've been in both, if you find yourself in a cell with no friends, listen, there's hope. There is hope. And there's a community out there that is willing to help you. And these GOGI tools are powerful, powerful. Find yourself a leader, a GOGI rep, and then get immersed in it because this will change your life. That's what this is all about. And there's always hope. You have to remember there's hope.
Oh, I love that. And if there's no Gogi in an institution, because there's a lot of institutions, and while large, we only have 23,000 students, which is a lot for any nonprofit. We only have a couple hundred, maybe 300 certified coaches. So let's say there's a guy in Alabama at the county jail and he sees you on the tablet.
Yeah.
What could be next steps for somebody I mean, they might see, a little book like this in the library, but they're even
Favorite
pronounced.
book.
Yeah,
I
I
use
know.
that book every time I taught a class.
I love this little book.
That book.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just so simple. But let's say somebody finds this in the trash, which is done a lot. People
Okay.
find it in the trash and they pronounce it goji instead of gogi because they've never heard how we pronounce it.
Yeah.
They find this book. What are they supposed to do with the information? Or a counselor gives them a flyer, or maybe, they find a little bookmark with the tools on them, What's
Well,
next
you,
steps if you're
if
not near a
somebody,
Gogi coach?
that's the beautiful thing about the calendar, right? So everybody is studying together. So if you find yourself and you find a book, you find a bookmark, you see a flyer, okay? There's people at the mail center already waiting for your letters, right? And they will send you books and they will send you information. And know that when you start your study, somebody else in the whole world, I think it's worldwide, is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Somebody else is already studying that tool with you. So you're not alone. So when you're studying 5 Second Light Switch, when you're studying Boss of My Brand, when you're studying Ultimate Freedom, you're not alone. Even the men in IMU, they're not alone because everybody else is doing that same study. It's there. It's there. And being in prison, you feel alone sometimes. Yeah. Yeah.
How hard was it for you to get out of the gang mentality or walk away from really solid friendships that you had in a certain way of life? For me, it seems like, okay, I have this life, it's my gang, and then there's this foreign planet that you're asking me to go to. I don't look like anybody on that planet. I don't think like them. I don't act like they don't understand me. We're very different. They have no clue who I am, and I don't really fit in. We're
Yeah.
asking people to leave this planet and land on this planet, but there's a long tightrope there between
Yeah.
the two. What
Yeah.
are your thoughts on making that definitive decision to leave everything that's familiar, venture into the unknown, and trust that something wonderful is waiting? Because that's a big leap of faith. You have to be brave. You have to be solid. It seems impossible when you're here.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
When you're in the gangs, you feel like that they're there. They're your family, and I get it. And they were my family for a little while. Um, but the stuff we were doing, we were just causing more wreckage and we were hurting ourselves along with everybody else around us. And when I stepped out, I felt lost. I felt alone. I felt like I had no hope, but I had to just hold on to it, you know?
Hold on to what? What do you hold on to? Because you're asking somebody whose entire family, their entire neighborhood, their entire everything is this. It's addiction. It's being hurting people. You're asking them to let go of everything that gave them any semblance of comfort or family.
Yeah. The hope that there is something better,
Is
something
that
that
true? Is it true? Is there something better?
there is something better. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, there is. And I feel it now, and I felt it after I got away. And it took some time. It took 2, 3 years before I felt like I was me. I built these walls to keep people out, but I realized that the walls I built kept me in. And
Wait, let me wrap my head around that. You built these walls to keep people out,
yeah,
but the walls you built kept
trapped
you
me.
in?
Yeah, they trapped me inside, and I wasn't the real me. We have to think about who we are when we're 10 years old, who we are before all the pain, before all the destruction, before all the hurt. You know, go back to that. And
Who
Gogi helps
are
with that.
you? Who are you, Coach Lance? Who are you?
My name is Joseph Michael Lance, and I am a father, I am a son, I am a brother, and I'm a respectable man.
I love that. Do you feel it?
I feel it passionately in my soul now. And I
When
was numb.
yeah, when you were sitting in that isolation cell, when you got the sentence 5 years,
Yeah.
did you feel it then?
No, I felt numb. I felt like somebody else. Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you ever think that who you are now and how you feel now was possible?
Nope. I didn't see any of this. That was gradual. When you go from the gangs and the drugs and all the carnage, you can't really see the future. You can't see, is there a different me? That's gradual. That takes time. That takes introspection. That takes sitting with yourself and dealing with the emotions that we try to suppress. So no, it was a slow process.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of that, you know, young kid who just hit the yard and he has to affiliate to
Mm,
survive. And, he's feeling uh, hopeless.
mm.
He's got the old homies, he's got the people telling him what to do. He's trapped, Coach Lance. He's really trapped. How is he not trapped?
Because he has a choice. It's all a choice.
And what's the choices? What are the initial choices one needs to make when you are sitting there in isolation or segregation or discipline, wherever they put you because they didn't like how you were behaving? What were, I don't know, if I was there, it's just, oh man, I give up. I'm gonna go all in because I can't win this race. I can't even run this race. I am friggin' trapped. And I know
Yeah.
a lot of our students feel that. What
Oh
is
yeah.
that? What is the little spark that lit a fire in you? And how did you keep that fire open? Was it family, religion, education? Was it a combination of all? Did somebody say something to you? What what can our guys or our women grab onto is, well, if I look for a Gogi book, that's the start. If I see a picture there, you have a picture of
Mhm.
Jesus Christ there. Was it religion? It could be any religion. Was it education? Clearly, you're going now to be in the human resources, human health services. So you did education. You did concrete steps. You took those steps. What were the concrete steps? Like, what can I do? I'm in my 8 foot cell, 2 inch mattress. I got homies telling me I need to do this and that, and I can't align with this, and they don't want me to go to chapel. I can't attend this group or that group. What on earth am I to do? What is my first step?
Well, I used God for sure.
Okay.
And then I got a Bible and I started reading Proverbs, and it contrasts uh, negative from positive. And I started looking at it, and I was alone all by myself. And I thought to myself, do I really want to be in the hole? Do I really want to be in prison? Before I ever went to prison, I was already in the hole. I, I was already alone and just depressed and just struggling. And so I gave everything to God. I just gave up because I've been trying to do it myself the whole time. And I was tired. And so, yes, it started with religion.
So for you, it was religion. Do some guys do it with like CGA or AA or
Yes.
what are some options? You had your Bible, you Proverbs lit that spark. For
Yeah.
somebody who grew up Muslim or Hindu or agnostic or atheist or what's there? What can they grab onto?
There are lots of groups, and I'm not sure about every prison, but I know that they have AAs, NAs, they have support groups, they do have Muslim groups, they have all that stuff. We forget to reach out. Do not forget to reach out because that is the start. When you reach out for help, it feels weird when you're reaching out because that's vulnerability at its core. You're
Oh, I
saying,
love you saying that. Don't forget to reach out. It feels weird because it's vulnerability at its core. But
yeah,
how is that vulnerability truly the individual's core strength?
oh, 100%. Now that's the power right there.
Yes, yes.
That's the power. When you actually come to the conclusion, listen, I'm not doing it correctly and I need some support to help me learn how to do it correctly. That's the drive. That's where it starts.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it is odd because feeling vulnerable is beat down on us that you're weak. You're
Yeah,
weak. You're weak. Be strong. Be strong.
yeah,
However, your vulnerability, your willingness to reach out for help, even as uncomfortable as it felt,
yeah.
was, I'm assuming, the permission you needed to get out of that hopelessness.
Yeah, 100%. That was the roots of it. And
Hmm.
it does. You feel like you're not a man. You feel like, oh, I'm supposed to be macho, and you can still be macho and say, listen, I still need this help, And and there are people there, even if they are inmates, if it is staff, if it's GOGI, if it's church, people want to help people, you
Are you
know?
sure about that? Because I don't know. That officer who says this or that, the chaplain who never comes by, the counselor who doesn't have time. You can't tell me, Coach Lance,
Yeah,
that people want to help because I've seen this. Some
yeah,
guy sitting on an 8 foot cell on a 2 inch mattress is saying, "You ain't at my institution." How is there still, regardless of where you are, how is there always, and I can say this, there is always someone there willing to help. How do you see past an initial reality that looks like the truth to
mm,
the truth beyond that reality to what really is there, which is help? Help is there. It doesn't matter where, it doesn't matter what
mm,
institution.
right.
How do you see beyond the officer, the counselor, the chaplain, the no programs, the long wait list? How do you see past all those obstacles to see where that help is available?
That's a good question. I'm not sure how to answer that question. I mean, you have to be persistent. You have to be persistent because there's barriers, there's blocks, there's weights. This is prison. Prison is not a fun place. And the guards do end up getting this what is it, like they get jaded. I mean, you get so many inmates that are shitheads for so long. They're like, everybody's the same. So you have to remind yourself that there's been a lot of people before you. They don't know that you want to change. They don't know that you're ready for that. You have to be persistent. and show them more than once that that is what you want before you get a positive response.
I see. I see. So it's almost like give respect if you want to receive it, rather than I'm going to wait till I'm respected to do anything. Would
Yeah,
that be accurate?
yeah, I think that sounds perfect.
So continuing to present yourself as someone who is sincerely interested in change, lasting change, that has to be a sustained message that's coming out from, where you're locked up. It has to be a consistent message.
It has to be consistent. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because they're not going to believe it until they see it for a little while.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of us, right, where we start, and I've done this multiple times. I'll start and I say I'm ready for change, and I go right back to the same stuff. So, you got to stay consistent a little while before they actually say, you know what, I think this guy or this girl is actually ready to change. Let's see if we can help them.
Well, here's a question for you then. There are people who go down that road and then they do an about face. It's like leaving the planet I'm comfortable with. I'm on the tightrope. I'll get a year down the road. I'll
Yeah,
get a week down the road.
yeah,
And I sort of see that there's a new way. Not gonna happen. Boom.
yeah, because it's scary. It's scary. I mean, we always resort to what we know, and even if the dysfunction is uncomfortable, it's still comfortable.
Even if the dysfunction is uncomfortable, it's comfortable.
It's because that's what we're used to.
Right, right, right.
But there's still hope. Try again and again and again.
Yeah, yeah. As we have this conversation, and I'm so grateful you made time. You're headed off to it's a Sunday morning. You're headed off to explore what life looks like on a Sunday when you're not incarcerated, and I really appreciate your time. But
Oh,
someone is going to be sitting here watching this, and I have to come up with a title or a theme of our conversation. What would you say the theme of our conversation is?
hmm. That there's hope.
That
There's always hope. Don't give up. It
don't give
seems
up.
scary and it seems uncomfortable and the future is uncertain. And the future is uncertain.
Hmm.
Everything's uncertain.
Hmm.
But that's I think my biggest message to anybody is that there's hope. I mean, I was so hopeless for so long. I didn't think that there was going to be change. I didn't think that I was I just the hope was gone, you know.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Had
I
you
would probably go
did
ahead.
you have a history of addiction in your life, or was it a history of criminal thinking? Why had you had no hope for so long? What was the road that you had been on?
So I grew up in a ghetto neighborhood with addicted parents, alcohol and heroin junkie parents. I've been sexually assaulted. I was joined on the gangs. It it builds on itself, and then after that, then it becomes the criminal mentality, and then it's a lifestyle. Then it becomes something that's all you know.
Hmm. So would you say that it was stacked trauma?
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's where it starts.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
So it's an initial trauma and then the stacking of trauma that becomes then a trauma responsive lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How do you move beyond all of that? That's a lot. How do you move beyond it? I know we have the tools of moving forward. For me to give,
Mhm.
I need distance from harm. I claim responsibility for who I am today. I hand squash toss. I let go of anything that doesn't feel good inside. I know we have those tools to help us move beyond that. I know that. But you're talking about a lot of trauma,
Yeah.
sustained life trauma. You didn't have a parent who could clearly talk to you and say, you deserve better and let me help you find that. You didn't get that. You were assaulted. You were jumped into a gang. You used drugs. Trauma, 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 trauma. Bang.
Yeah.
You're in solitary or shoe or wherever you were sitting there and reading a Bible thinking there, I don't want this negativity. But you got a lot of baggage. You got
Yeah.
a lot of baggage there. How did you even hope that that wouldn't be your future or your present? How did you unload the bags, toss them off so that the car could move freely? Was
Yeah.
it
You know what?
incremental? Was it little steps, or was it just, what if I am not my past? Our GOGI tools are
I
miraculous. What
love
if
that
I'm
one.
not my past?
Yeah, I love
How,
that one.
yeah, how, tell me how, if I'm sitting on a 2-inch mattress, I'm watching this on the tablet, I think, oh yeah, that sounds pretty. But
Mm.
how can I? I was raped, I was addicted, my C file's really long. I don't have anybody who believes in me. I've screwed people over. I've stolen, lied, cheated. How, Coach Lance, how do I do it?
That's incremental. That takes time.
Incremental.
You have to let it go slowly. And that's part of the introspection. You meditate on some things and you say, okay, that happened. Yes, that has fucked me up. Sorry. Uh, but then you have to just say, listen, that's not doing me any good holding on to it, you know? And so you just have to let it go. Listen, there's nothing I can do about that now. That is the past. What do I want now? Do I want to stay where I'm at? Do I want to continue doing what I'm doing? And if it's a no, well, then you have to just let the past be the past. And it'll come back. You'll think about it and it'll hurt, but then you have to just let it go again. It never goes away. The pain never goes away. It's like a scar. It's still there. You just learn to live with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it doesn't define you. Whereas it seemed like before the past defined your present and your future. So somehow you got a little distance there from the past.
Yeah. Yeah. That took time. Yeah. And it's still part of my identity. There's things you can't get away from. You come from a broken home, you come from sexual abuse, you come from these things. That's a part of you. That is who you are. That's your story, right? That's part of your testimony. And I think sometimes, you know, we continue looking at it in a negative light when we can actually flip that focus and say, you know what, this happened to me, so I can actually help other people where those people have gone through the same thing. Okay, well, how have I been dealing with it? How have I been trying to move on? How have I struggled moving on? That gives you that testimony to help other people and connect. The whole moving forward and growth, that's a community thing. You can't do this by yourself.
Interesting. So surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals,
Like-minded individuals. That's right. Yeah.
key.
People that want the same thing as you, whatever that may be. And that's why we go to gangs. That's why we go to drugs. That's why,
Yeah.
because at the time we think that that's what we want.
I was in a court hearing day before yesterday, and this was a MA gang member, gang leader, and he had gotten out of the gang. And the DA kept saying, "Well, look at his past, look at his, look at his." And when they asked me to speak, I said, "But now he has a gang for good."
Yeah, yes, yes.
His associations now in the courtroom were formerly incarcerated GOGI students. They were engaged in standing up for him, saying, "Oh no, he's totally with us. We got you." But having that affiliation was critical for the judge to say, "Yes, let's resentence him. He was in his youth. He's gone down some dark roads, but now he has a different affiliation." How important is affiliation with something? And you said, you can't do it alone. How important is that affiliation?
That's important. So that's the whole showing progress over time, right? And Gogi's wonderful for that. I'm glad that you guys stuck up for that guy because if he has really showed that change for a consecutive amount of time, well, then you have other people that will back you up and say, listen, we know that there's a different guy there. He's not the same. Yes. And they do. The courts, the prisons, the whole system holds everything against you that you have in your file, right? And of course they should to some degree. But when you start to show that change, now you have not only that history of the file, but now you have a different history stacking on top of that. Yeah. Yeah. So it's important to have that community. And I think Gogi is perfect for that.
Yeah. Who are you 5 years from now? What are you doing? You've been free for 5 years and 2 weeks. What
Yeah.
does life look like for you 5 years from now?
Well, I hope to still be teaching Gogi and bring it to my practice as, an alcohol and drug treatment counselor. Um, and I just want to continue helping giving back. I know the struggle. I know about the whole lifestyle. I know about the losing of the hope. I want to give that back. That's the ultimate freedom, right? That's the most powerful tool. You know, how do we find satisfaction in what we've done and how do we keep it? Well, we got to give it back and continue growing that because just because I'm here today and I'm not incarcerated, and just because I'm no longer, affiliated or on drugs, it doesn't mean that there's not a lot of other people out there that need that. And I want to be there for it. I want to see the growth. I want to do these interviews with other men and women that said, you know what? I had no hope. Now I do. And then watch them give back as well.
Uh-huh. You know what I think might be interesting? I hold these interviews with any of our coaches that are released, and I say, hey, do you want to share your story?
Yeah.
But maybe at some point, Coach Lance, you wouldn't mind being actually the interviewer for somebody else. So allowing you to be in my position, just asking, what's it like to be out? I think
Yeah.
that might be really fun to see how two formerly incarcerated Gogi coaches might converse. I have never been incarcerated, but I've done 25 years inside prisons and jails. I know it well, and I personally had my own struggles with a sense of feeling in prison. But I
Mm.
think it might be very, very nice for you to be in a conversation with another Gogi coach and just, I think we can make that happen. So just keep that in mind that I would like to see that happen.
I'm here for anything that you need, Gogi wise, for sure. Yeah, I'm here.
Do you ever
I'm
have
here
a
for it.
vision of you going back into the prisons and jails and working with individuals who are still incarcerated?
Yes. As
Okay,
soon as I'm off parole, and then it's been enough time to where they allow me to, yes, I want to go back to Snake, where I did my time. Yeah.
perfect. I
Yeah.
think we can make that happen. You're a certified coach that gives you certain privileges with our organization. We can
Yeah.
certainly advocate for your ability to do that. But until then, they're going to see you on the tablets, and the world will see you on our YouTube channel, which I'm excited about.
Me too. I'm a little shy, but you know what? The story's great. I'm ready. Listen, don't lose hope, guys. Don't lose hope, girls. There's hope.
Yeah, it's really pretty extraordinary how you have you dug yourself out of a pretty precarious situation in a very short amount of time. A lot of
Yeah.
guys got to be down 10 years before they realize, hey, I want something different. It was a short order, and you said, I want something different. So I commend you for that, and your story is worth sharing with the world. Now, on a parting note, what message would you like to give to all of those individuals who've watched through our interview, who said,
Mhm.
"Oh, I don't like that. I don't like this. I agree here. I don't agree there." Everybody's had their own experience of our time together. What is your final parting message to them?
I think the most important thing that we can say is to reach out.
Reach
Reach out.
out. Reach
Yeah.
out. Okay. Yeah.
For anything, may it be family, may it be religion, may it be Gogi something, even if it's not Gogi, and I encourage Gogi because it does work. Reach out. That's the only way we're going to change.
And when I'm denied help, keep reaching.
You got to keep reaching because you might be denied the first couple times. Yeah. It's just the way life is.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Coach Lance, I am so grateful you spent the time. My love to your family, to your journey. I want to be included in all the pictures that you have to send. We'll certainly post them on our Facebook page. Make sure you go to our Facebook page, Getting Out by Going In and GOGI Oregon. And I'll begin to link you to our GOGI Oregon people so you could start to put some of those posts up there.
Awesome. I'm ready.
All right, GOGI for life.
Bogey for life.
Welcome home.
G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. Go be talking this, I got the tools to live by. G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. Go be talking this, I got the tools to live by.
All the GOGI Life Tool books are available on Amazon.
G-O-G-I, G-O-G-I. Go be talking this, I got the tools.